Well, people from all walks of life, they have a lot of, good information and just kind of like, cool,
Yeah.
frame, it's just like where they're coming from in their lives.
Yeah.
It can relate to us too,
Yeah.
and what they've gone through and kind of how they approach like a huge wave. And it's like, I can relate to where this guy's coming from.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is Blacktop Banter, and this is episode 31. So we're in season 2, and it's moving along quite well. So my guest, I know he and I, I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to phrase that. He and I have known each other for a while due to social media groups and Facebook groups and things like that. And now we've expanded and talked about a lot of different things since then. I know we had some time to talk about music and stuff this winter. Ryan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. My name's Ryan Behan. I'm the owner of Ginger Cat Sealcoating. I'm definitely honored to be on this podcast. I've been listening since pretty much you first started, and I think it's great for the industry. I think it's just great overall to kind of hear some of these stories and, get some inspiration from people that are doing either something similar or maybe a little bit different. But anyways, yeah, I run Ginger Cat Seal Coating. We do pavement maintenance in Western Massachusetts out on the East Coast. We do line striping, seal coating, crack sealing. This year we just started with asphalt patching and also some power washing of, some really dirty surfaces. So we're out here just trying to get as much work as possible, keep the quality super high, keep it interesting, have some fun with some marketing and the image, and just really, it's been an amazing journey the last 5 to 6 7 years, where building from 5 years ago up until now, and met some great people, and it's been awesome.
Is that how long you've been in business? Is 5 years, Ryan?
I've been doing this for 7 years. It started off as a side gig. I had a full-time job with a municipality, and I knew a guy that was doing seal coating on the side, and it was something I had never heard of. And he explained what it was, and I was thinking to myself, like, I have a lot of respect for this guy, but I feel like I could also do what he's doing, and maybe even just kind of put my own spin on it, maybe make an improvement. So I had it in my head that I was going to do this as a side job while working for the town. And I just started off with buckets and a pickup truck, the kind of the cliched story. That's how a lot of people start. And I just really just kept grinding it out. I researched the hell out of this industry. I asked questions. I immediately got on Facebook groups, YouTube, internet. I just was spending all my free time looking into this and figuring out what I needed to do. And by hook or by crook, I've just kind of stepped up incrementally. Equipment purchases, know-how, strategies, and it's just really been from the basement level to where I am now, which is I'm able to support my family doing this business.
It's been kind of fun to see, because I know when you first entered the groups, after we formed the groups and things like that, you went from asking questions to answering questions over a 5-year time. So in that amount of time, you've learned your lessons, you've asked to improve your business as well. Obviously you embrace Ginger Cat,
Yes.
you're like, hey, if that's going to be the name of your business, obviously you embrace what you've been blessed with. And it's fun to see the way that's went from just a name to seeing your trucks embrace it. Your shirts. I'm most shirts and stuff, even our shirts, are safety green. Most shirts are black. They're really simple. But I see yours, and it looks like you guys are going out to play ultimate frisbee or polo or something like that. And then you really got to watch the Ginger Cat. It's a Bruce Lee kind of got a Fu Manchu almost thing going on there, and I love it.
It's cool. I got it right here.
Let me see, because they're going to want to see it on YouTube. But how did you make that? Did somebody make that?
I had a friend of mine make that, and that was really like year 2.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine. She's a graphic artist. She made it, and it's cool because within the actual image, if I can get this going here,
Yeah.
it says Ginger Cat, and it's part of like the cat logo. So she
Yeah.
made that, and I sat on that for a couple years. I just, I made some business cards. I didn't really use the logo too heavily.
Mhm.
And then it kind of came to the point where I was going to get really serious about this. And I started working with my brother-in-law, who still to this day is my one full-time guy.
Mhm.
I've since, I have a couple of part-time guys, but he was like, you need to have a business name. You need to like really make, it can't just be like Ryan Behan Seal Coating.
Yeah.
So he recommended using Ginger Cat Seal Coating.
Cool.
And I scoffed at it at first, and I was like, that sounds ridiculous. People are just gonna be like, Ginger, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But it stuck, and it's been something that we've just built on. And I'm actually in the process now of kind of revamping the logo a little bit. It's gonna be the same, but I just want to kind of modernize it,
No,
kind
that
of
makes
just
sense.
evolve it a little bit.
Makes sense. You got it branded right there. And I think if anyone does wonder, hey, what the heck is up with this? As soon as they see you step out to do sales, I'm sure they're like, oh,
Oh man,
you got it figured out.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is a huge question. It's like the top three questions are, how much do you charge? Do you like work near me? And what's with your name?
How you use
Like, how'd you get your name?
Yeah.
So it's been cool, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. It's definitely been more and more a part of the business as as time goes by, and it's been great.
So I know we were talking growth. You kind of have caught stride now. It's been neat to see the groups be such a resource to streamline guys, because I spent a good 10 years being the same size, and there was no one around me for me to really pick brains or see how to expand or how to grow. And not so much just the business. People always think more business or more equipment. And it wasn't so much that. It was the office work, the intricacies of getting bigger. The infrastructure is what I wanted to build to be able to handle us. And now it's neat to see that kind of go hand in hand with you. This was a good growth year for you, because I remember the trailer unit getting moved up and moved on.
Oh yeah.
Where did you start out then once you went from buckets to I know obviously from being a witness, but how did you climb the ladder equipment wise? And then what was it? I'll let you do that one first. Tell us equipment, and then I'll ask you another question.
Pretty much rung by rung. I did not skip any steps. I started off with an old F-150 pickup, buckets of sealer. After about a year of that, I realized if I'm going to do this and give people a service that they're going to pay for, I got to like update what I'm doing here. So I bought a small trailer, and I operated out of a tote for a number of years. I know that is a taboo thing for a lot of people, but honestly, that tote system, self-built, researched to no end. I know it's a square tote, but I made it so that I could mix it. I made it so that I could apply it, and I put out a decent product. I'm not really one to pat myself on the back, but I think that it worked. It made it so that I could generate money. And I just asked questions, working with what I had. I looked at people on those groups, and I reached out to a ton of people asking, just very specific questions. Once I kind of zeroed in on what I was going to be doing, I asked specific questions. I, personally messaged a lot of people, and I made that tote work. And boy, did I see a lot of driveways doing it that way. I had a gray van, which it was kind of an eyesore, but it was a gray van pulling around this tote, and
I remember, yeah.
I just made it work. And I've always invested my money back into my business.
Yeah, and it shows.
I'm not one to buy a bunch of toys on the side and just kind of like, oh, I got my own business, I'm living large. I buy a few things here and there for my off-season hobbies, which is like playing music and some carpentry. But other than that, it all goes back into my business. And I've been able to upgrade and make some really nice equipment purchases, along with some vehicle purchases in the last year or two. And I'm setting myself up to become a bigger company.
Very nice.
And that is the main goal, to be able to prosper and to take on people that can work with me and help them prosper as well.
Yeah. Once you get the upgrade from the tote tank or the stationary gravity tank, and then you upgrade your vehicle to a reliable vehicle, the efficiency starts to click. And once the
Oh man.
efficiency clicks, it's like, oh, what I was so worried about and so hesitant about is a breeze, because we're
Yes.
working our asses off all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing. And looking back now from where I sit, it was a no-brainer, but in the moment it was like, holy crap, because we had my old red truck that some people see sometimes, that old red
Yep.
flatbed. I
Yep.
bought a bigger HD Chevy 1-ton with a 14-foot bed, spent $7,000 on it with between everything, and it blew the motor on my first load of sealer. And I was dead, and I was dead in the water. Didn't
Yeah.
have the money to buy one and go back and do one. So I went and financed the white D-Max that everybody sees now.
Yep.
And that was, God, 5 or 6 years ago. And now that truck's been paid for forever. And just at being reliable and being a beast was like, oh, all right. So now we're gearing up for, this year we just bought that dump trailer. We're in works with Sealmaster to get a bulk tank here, and we need to get a shop built. And it was like, I can see that moment of that Duramax buying that and biting the bullet and just taking it.
That little spark right there, and it just kind of
it changed,
catapulted.
And then to be able to buy the seal right and everything else, it's been crazy. So once you went from the tote tank unit, and then where did you go to seal coat wise as far as the trailer unit?
Well, essentially, I just kept getting bigger trailers so I could fit more equipment, because as we all know, the prep work in this industry is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing to just have a trailer that you can fit a tote on, but if you can't, have some backpack blowers, maybe, an edger of some sort, some power brooms,
Yep.
all the odds and ends, you're not going to really give a great product, because you really got to make sure that asphalt is clean. Mm-hmm. So it was larger trailers for more prep work equipment. And then you got a skid
seal. You ended up getting a skid seal coat unit, right?
I did. I got a skid seal coat unit. So that was at the beginning of this past season, because we're pretty much at the end of the season. So the 2020 season, I started off finally with, a 600-gallon Sealmaster brand, seal coating tank, full sweep agitation, all the bells and whistles. And it was something that I was just dreaming about for years. I was dreaming about it. And as soon as I got my first load of sealer in that, because, I mix in some sand. I did not with the tote. I experimented with it the first season and realized that's not something you do with that kind of setup.
No.
But, I mix in some sand and I mix in some polymers, and just the mixing process was cut down, labor-wise and time-wise. And it just made my life so much easier. And it made everything look more professional as well. And that, goes a long way out there. So
yeah, it does. It helps you land bigger fish. I got a friend, Caleb Allman. We had a discussion one time in a group, and it was about trucks. And a guy had a really nice early 90s Ford pickup truck. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And the truck was in great shape. The guy did great work, was a great marketer, everything. But he knew, and Caleb and I were talking about it, if he pulled in next to a guy that has a late model vehicle, already in their brain, the customers are thinking, gosh. And he knew that.
And you can see it on their face sometimes when you pull up, and that maybe something doesn't look right, and you can see it in their face, and you're like, I wish I had a better truck.
Yeah. And when it does something for your confidence too, I think, especially if you're doing sales and you're out there, you're in a nice vehicle. It definitely does. So let's switch from the van to what do you have now for your truck?
I have a couple of trucks now. I have an F-250, which is, it's new to me. It's a 2014 F-250. And that was able to tow, and I upgraded the trailer this year to a 14-foot, it was 16-foot, 14,000-pound trailer.
Sure.
So I was able to put the skid on that and have no problems. And I'm still underweight, DOT-wise. So that was able to tow that trailer no problem, up hills, down hills. It's got some good brakes. And I have also, within the last couple of months, purchased, or I financed it, but it's a 2011 F550 dump truck. So that, that brought me into the asphalt patching aspect of the business, which is something I'm very familiar with, but I've never been able to do it on my own. Mm-hmm. So I worked for a paving company for about 7 years in the early 2000s. So that know-how stuck with me, and I made that work. So that's why I bought that truck to provide that service as well.
So what about when you transitioned from working for the municipality to running a business, uh, as far as the business aspect of it goes, how hard was the learning curve as far as ins and outs, taxes, and now with employees or whatever you have?
Yep.
Um, what was that learning curve, and was there anything distinctly that helped you out with all that?
Well, just knowing in the back of my head that being legitimate and covering all your bases is going to alleviate any headaches as far as taxes and IRS and stuff like that goes. I'm one that I do have a tendency to procrastinate slightly here and there.
Hmm.
But when you're running a business and when your family's depending on it and it becomes your livelihood,
Yeah,
you are forced to become a big boy at that point.
yeah, yeah,
So the first couple of years were um, just trying to get as much work, trying to get the clients, trying to set some money aside for taxes for the winter.
yeah,
It was really just scraping by, and it was painful. It really was. Now it's more or less, we have an accountant, we have a payroll person, we've invested in some customer relation management software. So keeping tabs on all of our expenses and this and that. It doesn't sound like a lot of fun, and it's not a lot of fun. It's not the most fun part of the business. I know
oh,
there are some people that are very analytical and very numbers oriented.
and they love it.
My
Yeah,
hat's off. My hat's
yeah.
off to those people.
That's not me. That's not
It's
me.
not me either. My joy comes from figuring out how to get my trailer set up
Yeah,
and figuring out how to do the details of getting this job done.
yep,
Fortunately, my wife is very, very good with finances, so she's stepped in and she's become part of the company as well.
very nice.
I see that. I see that from a lot of people where their family, it's a family business,
Yeah,
so we're kind of following suit with that. And it's just really, I just don't want any headaches down the road in any sort of way.
mhm,
God forbid something happens that's out of the ordinary. But if it's something we can control, then we're going to control it. And it's just something that I need to say to myself, we're going to set money aside. We're going to contact an accountant. We're going to do the payroll. We're going to make sure our employees are taken care of,
yep.
and no under the table kind of stuff, because that really doesn't benefit anyone in the long run.
Not
So it's part of becoming a businessman, not just a seal coater.
yeah. There's
It's two different things.
one of the biggest things I found out is I'm I'm more efficient if I just pay somebody to do what makes me very inefficient. And
Yes.
I,
Yep.
easily we can go out and do a couple of jobs and pay for whatever that is. When we hired an accountant team and obviously for our payroll here the last couple of years, it was just not only not only was it a relief, but it freed up so much more time for me to
Yes.
do stuff to help my business grow. And I don't think people always think, oh my God, it's going to break the bank. But I don't know how everyone else's accountant is, but it really isn't that bad.
It
And
is not bad at all.
and I wish I would have did it sooner, really, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
it's just a more peace of mind, would have gave me more focus and attention on being able to grow the business or do the podcast sooner. I guess I don't really know for sure, but one or the other. But I guess that's a really good lesson. Is you can't be scared. Same thing with
You can't be.
subcontracting. It's just like having a subcontractor to make your job go good. You just pay an accountant and your tax prep person, and
Absolutely. It's the fear of the unknown. It's, sometimes there are jobs that I show up to and I've been there to estimate it, but I don't know how it's going to go, and I get a little anxious. And it's the same thing with taking on new things with your business, especially unfamiliar things, because I, for one, have never been good with, managing money.
sure,
I like to spend money, but
yeah.
managing it and making it work for me, not a strong suit of mine. So it was a fear, and but you gotta just hit it head on, and make it work, and go and contact someone if you're unsure, and that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
So I want to ask you. I'm going to switch tangents on us. We don't do pressure washing here at Withco. I watched. I think I seen a post of yours where this thing was covered in moss. Is that
Yep.
correct? And
Yes.
you want to tell us about that job and how it went with getting that moss removed?
Yeah,
Once it was gone,
absolutely.
I was very impressed. Once it was gone.
Well, the thing with the power washing is, that's another thing that I've researched to great lengths. I'm also part of some power washing groups on Facebook. Um, Not so much interacting with them as much, but more of like a kind of like just a silent observer. So it stemmed with, at the beginning of this year, I had two large jobs that I did in 2019. I got called back because they flaked up very, very badly. And it was because the asphalt was not clean enough. And I said to myself, I hate going and doing work for free. I
Yeah.
hate going back and doing stuff over again. It's not making me any money. And the whole point of this is to generate income.
Yeah.
So I decided right then and there, I'm going to start doing power washing. I know that seal coaters have implemented that as part of their services. So I just put together a power washing trailer. You know, it's nothing crazy. It's not like, you know, some crazy 5,000 PSI power washing job. It's a little bit lower on the pressure side, but we have a 20-inch surface cleaner, which is kind of like a floor buffer.
Yep.
You just run it over the entire length or the square footage of the driveway.
Those are the spiral, right?
Yeah, it spirals on the inside, you know? So we run that, you know, maybe 3/4 power of what it's rated for. And it gets up the moss. I'm gonna tell you what. And also too, which is super awesome about it, is it's a revenue generator. It's not something I just do for free. It's you know, when we do send an estimate, it's a line item. The fact that we put it in there, we say that it's highly recommended that you do this service as well, because it's going to make it so you know, the sealer sticks to your driveway essentially. So it's a great rainy day service we can do. It's made it so that we can work on rainy days, which, you know, historically speaking, I was not able to do. On a rainy day, when you're a seal coater that just does crack sealing or seal coating, you're at home watching TV, you know? Yeah. So we started doing that. It was slow at first, but people understand. They want to pay for that service. They want that done before they get their driveway seal coated, because they know it's going to make the job last a little longer. And it makes the us as a company look more responsible as well. The fact that we're offering the service that will help you out. It's not just a frivolous service. It helps out. So it's been good.
Yeah, we don't encounter as much out here as I do see you guys up there in New England do. But, you know,
we get a lot of moss.
I've seen some pictures some guys send me from up there saying, what am I supposed to do here? And, you know, around here, obviously, you know, on a rainy day, pressure washing makes sense. To pressure wash it and then wait for it to dry and then seal coat it, if you're trying to be efficient, doesn't make much sense. A lot of guys for years have been just torch it and broom it, and it is what it is. But, you know, that one driveway I seen of yours, it was almost covering across the middle and meeting. And that was pretty heavy. And then to see it all up and seal coated was something pretty neat. How did you guys do that on a rainy day then? That job?
We did that on a day where it was forecasted to rain, and it did rain at one point in the day. It is something that, you know, I'm only a 2 to 3 guy company right now. We're definitely planning on hiring another full-time person for this coming season. So, you know, with offering that service as well as the seal coating, it kind of does spread us thin. Sure. We don't pressure wash and then that same day do the job. Right. We'll do 2 or 3 of them on a rainy day. And then schedule the next, you know, so the scheduling, we kind of have to be pretty on top of it. You know, the next good weather day, we're back to those same properties to do the job.
Seal coated. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that transitions then when you were talking about taking on another person and stuff like that. What do you see as far as your next move, Ryan, as far as Ginger Cat goes? Like, are you looking for another unit? Are you guys looking for bulk? Are you looking for outside shop? You know, a different location? What do you see when you lay your head down at night and think what you want? What do you see as far as Ginger Cat goes in the coming?
For next year, my main goal for next year is to take on an additional person, possibly 2 additional people. You know, I can see ourselves being 4 people right now. Myself and then 3 other guys. That to me, that number right there is my goal right now, because what I would like to do is I would like to get a prep crew out ahead of the seal coating crew.
Yeah. We did that this year. We did that this year on a few different occasions, and the guys on the seal coat crew were just like, oh, I made it heaven,
Yeah.
show up and start filling cracks and seal coating. So yeah,
Yep.
definitely with you. We got my old seal coating unit. We bought the seal right, but we have the old seal coating unit on another trailer. And there's been times where it hit me to this year. You see guys that get 850-gallon tanks and 1,000-gallon tanks, and
Yep.
we went from that 550 to that 700 or 750, and we had a schedule of 5 or 6 jobs that day,
Yep.
and I realized that no matter what, with one unit, we were only going to be able to get to 5 or 6 jobs. Now, if I had
Yeah.
2 units going, I could get
Yep.
more. We could go 2 different ways, and we could do more that day. And
Yep.
that's when I was like, all right, we're not getting rid of the old unit. We're going to put it on a trailer. We're going to have a separate one. That way,
Yeah.
those days where we can go 2 separate ways, it'll help fight back the workload quite a bit too. The main thing was hiring Chris, who we call Whisk Cheeks now. Dude, near the end of the season, him being able to get in the truck and drive with Charlie, who's been with me forever. Charlie knows everything to do on the job when we get there and everything. It freed me up. And that freed me up sometimes to go do striping or just go out and kill a bunch of estimates that we've had that day. And then
Yeah.
once in a while, we had another kid with us near the end of the year, Zach. He would go out and clean and stuff with me, get in front
Yep.
of those guys. So I think you're right. 4 is a good number for businesses our size.
Yeah.
And then once that base is there, you're gonna have to start hiring people to do what you do, and it gets
Absolutely.
interesting from there. But I've had some
Well, I
conversations.
remember you made a post somewhere towards maybe the first half of the year, and you said that this you took like a video or a picture, and you said this is the first job in the entire time I've been running this business where I didn't do anything on this job. Like
I
my
didn't.
guys did the job for me.
Yeah,
That has happened to me this year too. And I'll tell you what, once you get over that hump of not being able to take yourself out of actually being on every job,
mm-hmm.
that is also another part of this business where it's like, once you can do that and you have the faith in your guys to go out there and do the same quality that you would do if you were there,
Yep.
that's a major, maybe that might be the best thing that happened to me this past year was knowing that I can leave
Mm-hmm.
my part-time guy and my full-time guy on a Saturday or a Sunday, and they can go and do a couple jobs a day, and I can just maybe bop by, afterwards and check it out. And it's like, they did a damn good job. And
Yes.
that made me feel so good. And it made me feel like the future is a lot brighter, knowing that I don't have to do every single thing.
It takes a little bit more pressure off. That's
It does.
you've seen that post from me letting my hands go for the first time and letting these guys do
Yeah.
everything. Maybe 3 months later, I left for a week on vacation out west, and they took care of the whole week's worth of work. And
it's an amazing feeling.
dude, I was just like, oh, I was trying to think. Not only was that job that you see me post the first time that in 16 years that I hadn't touched a project completely, this was the first time in 16 years I took a summer vacation. And it was just like my kids were like, we want to go west, because the only other time we went out west was in the wintertime. And they're like, we want to go out west. And I come back, and during the whole time I was telling the guys how thankful I am that they listen to me, and that sometimes they'll get on me because I'll say the same crap over and over and over and over and over just to drive it in that this is how I need it done and want it done.
Oh yeah.
And I came back and they did everything just fine. It was excellent. But yeah, that was a big hump to get over, and that was hard for me to do, to let go of.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I did a podcast last night with a fellow named Mike Nawa, and I'm sure everybody will know him soon enough. And a lot of people do. He's been, he was one of the founding kind of guys at MPE and things. But he was telling me that, Marvin, have you hired somebody to take your spot in your business so that you're not in it? You work on it, but don't try not to work in it.
It's a funny concept.
Yeah, and then the same thing. I'm thinking about that next unit. I want to work in it, but I got to get somebody else to replace me once I'm in there and down the line. Then we can go 2 separate ways, and that's the growth. And that was he was saying. He said, "Do you want to sell your business?" I said, "I'm not really sure." He said, "Well, you need to grow, to keep the value up if you want to." But at the same time, there's been days where myself and one of my guys were striping. We got done early, met up with the other guys that were seal coating, and you can just see the relief on their face, like, oh God, here we get some extra help, especially on those hot days.
Yes.
It's a big deal, and it's a lot to take on. But the main thing is people don't tell you is, the fear of the unknown, like you were saying. Gosh, if I was thinking about this concept today, Like I have no fear of the unknown so much anymore. And I was
Mhm.
thinking, how much money would I go to the bank and borrow if like if I was thinking about it, how much would I go? Because I know just now over the track record of us doing it over and over and over again that we're going to be
Yep.
fine. Maybe it's time that we get some of this stuff that we really want, or build some of this.
Absolutely. Well, you have to have faith in yourself and what you've done so far, and you have to have faith in the fact that you can generate money and
Yeah,
you will continue to do so. And you've proven it to yourself, and you've proven it to your employees,
yeah.
and you've proven it to your family. So it's like, at what point do you take
Just
the next step?
yeah. I think you end up forcing your own hand,
Yep.
and if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. They always say burn the ships,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what you got to do sometimes. And you know, we've been buying some bigger equipment and
Yep.
property and buying stuff to put ourselves in a position. The main thing I've found, and is and I take in quite a bit at MPE is the culture of some of these companies that are far more successful than mine. And I say that just in size. Um, when you're not there, the 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 things that you have instilled still need to be there. And luckily with my
Absolutely.
guys, that's there right now. We just need to keep
Yep.
doing that. And the guys have a vision. They see me reinvesting in the units that they don't have to hand crank anymore. We got hydraulics, boys.
Right.
Save your
Right.
back. And then
It makes them excited to work for you
it
because they
does.
know that you're in it for them, and you're in it to like
Yep.
make this not backbreaking every
Yeah.
single job.
Yeah.
Obviously there are some jobs where you got to like
There's
put in the
nothing
extra
to do.
effort.
Yeah.
But if you can show your guys that, hey, listen, I'm trying to make this a little bit fun maybe, but also too, I've got some cool equipment coming in,
Yep.
and it's something new every year, at least a couple things new every year.
Yep.
That makes it really it just makes it interesting, and it keeps the guys engaged. I feel
Yeah.
like wanting to stick around.
My favorite thing to do is to buy all the new stuff at the end of the season because I'm like, oh gosh, this would have
Like
been.
incentive to come
We
back.
bought a backpack blower a couple days ago, and I stopped off and showed it to Chris, and he was like, "Oh, this would have been nice to have," And
Right.
August really would have been nice. September would have been great, but
Yep.
that's our first backpack blower, and really, Hal Davis is the one that convinced me to get one. He said
Yep.
that they really do help out a lot. He's like, a lot of times we'll use that over our push blower. And I was like, all right,
We
well,
don't use push blowers on any residentials. I just feel like the accuracy and the control of having a couple good backpack blowers far surpasses a push behind on
yeah,
what we do, at least, mainly.
yeah. And I think that's kind of what it just feels good to be able to buy a couple things and be like, what do you guys like? And
Yeah.
you like it, do
Yep.
you not like it? Because before, like, if you wanted to buy a Rhino Works melter, you're like, whew, this is gonna, this could hurt a little bit if we end up not liking it or whatever.
Yep.
Obviously, we still run ours, so we like it very much. But the
Hmm.
same thing with bigger blowers, or one of the things is the Benzik rotary broom and stuff like that. Those bigger equipment pieces.
Yep.
Some of these guys, that's a big chunk. And just me thinking about that, what we spent on that backpack blower. I was saying the other day, at one point that was my a third of my net worth
I know.
while we were seal coating. And it's crazy to think
Yeah.
about and crazy to see.
Oh
And
yeah.
the nice thing is, and I was talking about this with Mike Nawa, the nice thing is we can bounce ideas off each other in these groups. If you hold yourself the right way, and it seems like maybe all the measuring contest part of it is over with now, I hope, for a lot of these things. If you
It
hold
comes and goes for
It
sure.
does. It comes and goes, but who is there for you, and
Yep.
it really helps you stay efficient and stay on track and grow
It
your
does.
business. It really
It's motivation.
it
It's
does. It's
motivation. I
motivation.
see.
It's accountability. It's accountability too.
Absolutely.
I don't want to have the Duramax and then the next video show you guys that I went back to that 1994 gas.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't want to do that. So it keeps you pumping, keeps you going. But at the same time, I can recognize who's larger than I am. There's a lot of companies that are, and there are resources for me to keep going, keep moving. And there's no competitive edge between you and I. We're way away from each other, so we're not messing with each other's money. The only thing we do is try to get a little bit of bragging rights here and there in some of these groups about
Absolutely.
what we're
Oh,
doing.
don't get me wrong. There's so many times where I see, people that I, interact with on those groups, and they'll post a job, and it's like, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just such a great job, It's like, I'm not going to come out and be like, oh my God, like, oh, you're the best ever. But like, it's like, I can appreciate what I see and I can appreciate the work that someone's done.
Yep.
And, if they continue to come up with good content time and time again, and also too, that, they're willing to share how they did that. Those are the kinds of people that you just need to zero in on and ask questions, and you'll find out some great stuff.
Yeah, that's how you go from Jim Panzenhagen showing you a few things in a group to Jim Panzenhagen being the most filled class in MPE last year.
Man,
It was insane. The guy couldn't get through his whole course because of everybody asking questions and wondering what was going on. It's within there that these guys are found. And
absolutely,
it's crazy to think that, to see between Jim's class being completely packed full where people were standing because every seat was full, and seeing Chris Love win an award on the stage, that I had some cool stuff go on, but those two things were pretty damn cool for me to see that from our little groups that we started a long time ago. And same thing as anyone else, when I got rid of the and handed off the US Seal Coaters group, it was taken on. New groups started up, all these groups with different aspects, different things. New people show up. Where I'm going to be teaching a class at MPE, hopefully, with Cameron Hogate. And Cameron's he's way better than I am at Facebook ads. I just knew early on that, hey,
he has such a knack for those. Absolutely.
He does. So I'm going to be learning from him. And, you humble yourself a little bit. You're going to learn some stuff that's going to help your business in the future. I still have a good 25 years or so here. I want to make sure that I'm staying at the front of it. And if I can bring what I know from the past and bring Cameron in and everything new that he knows, he's a wizard. And we can dish that out. It just makes for a community.
It is a great community. It's a very helpful community. And when you can rely on, those groups and, just the certain individuals that are putting themselves out there. It is definitely, guys 20 years ago did not have any of this. And it can be a double-edged sword, but for it's mainly very good, because a lot of guys think they learned a couple of things that can go out and just do it. But the guys that are in it for the long haul and know that they're in it for the long haul, they just keep interacting with each other, and they just keep growing, and they're just kind of growing together. And it's really motivational. And it's very, very cool. It's just like a really cool thing.
It is. So now tell me about your free time. You said you do carpentry. I know you play drums, because we were going to do Maroon 5 over Zoom.
Yes.
And I didn't.
My off time, I love playing music. I've been playing drums for 20 years now. I'm, in my drum room now doing the interview. So that's my, that's my main passion. I love being a businessman. I love doing, the seal coating and all that. But there's not a second that doesn't go by where I'm not thinking about a drum beat in my head. That's huge.
How I am with lyrics and music. I can't. I was talking with somebody, I think it was Scott Morris, and he was like, we'll shred. I'm like, I don't really shred. I strum a little bit. But there's always song lyrics going on in my head. And if
You're a balladeer.
if I could do anything, I would be the lute, the guy that gets his ass kicked in videos. That's who I would be, the guy playing the if I
another love song.
Get out of here and give us more mead. If I could do something besides this and it paid and it would be write songs,
Dude, absolutely, man.
Artist, dude. So I love
in my high school yearbook, my main goal was to be on stage in front of millions. That was like my main goal. Music in a music setting, but it's always been something that I look forward to getting down and playing drums. Been in a ton of bands. It's kind of hard to be in a band right now. No one's playing any shows, but it's still fun to get together and do some jams. And you just feel so good afterwards, having that creative outlet. I feel like everyone kind of needs a hobby, and to get your mind off of some of the struggles sometimes of running a business. You got to be able to hunker down and do a little hobby, whether it's playing drums or
get lost,
playing guitar. Writing lyrics, and I'm sure that's a lot. That's therapy. Writing down what's in your head and what's in your heart. And
Yeah.
it's really kind of a cool thing to be able to do.
Yours is more taking out aggression because I've seen you play.
Oh, it's definitely yeah. Well, I mean, I'm wearing a Metallica shirt. I'm definitely a metalhead.
Yeah.
I love heavy metal music. I used to play it all the time. I was in a bunch of metal bands. And still to this day, I love listening to it. I don't really play it that much anymore because I don't practice my drums as much as I used to.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's great. And
what about
yeah,
carpentry? Tell me about carpentry. Tell me about carpentry.
The carpentry thing is definitely something I've taken up in the last 3 or 4 years. It's just, that's also another very satisfying thing. It's about creating something, and whether it's playing drums, creating a drum beat or creating a song with a band, the same thing. I can make a spice rack, or I can make a shelf, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The interior of my house is all kind of stuff I've made, and you can kind of see the evolution of it. It's like, oh, that shelf is like, it's, the books are kind of leaning sideways.
Yeah.
But it's just it's fun, and I love creating things, and I love learning how to do something new, and I feel like those two things, music and woodworking, there's always something to learn. There's always some technique, and that's what I'm all about, is learning new stuff and applying it to my life pretty much.
Well, if you could talk to somebody that was yourself 7 years ago, and you could give them one piece of advice, it could be something we've already talked about, what would that be? What would that one piece of advice be where you were like, do this?
I would say talk less, listen more. Honestly, I think that there's a lot of big talkers out there, and if they spent half that time listening, it would benefit them greatly, and that's not saying anything about people that talk a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people that are super successful that probably don't shut up. But it's just something that, one of the phrases, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but the wisest man on earth is the first to tell you that he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Something along the lines of that. It's where I just find that the more that I listen to people and let them talk and make, don't try to just talk over them or wait for them to finish just so I can say something. That would be something I would tell myself, especially like 10 years ago.
Sure.
Listen, man, your life's going to be a lot easier if you just kind of take a more laid back approach and just kind of let stuff happen, let people talk, let people say their piece, let the situation happen, take a moment, reflect, and then, go and do your thing.
Cool. All right, man. Ryan, thank you so much for being on the podcast, dude.
Well, I appreciate it, Marvin, man. I got much respect for you, and I've always followed you, and I think that you are one of the most righteous dudes around. I feel like you are, you're definitely, for this industry, you've done huge things, and as a person, I really think that you are a great guy, dude. So I really appreciate this opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you very much, dude. I appreciate you being on here and sharing your story. I have a feeling our group, some of the, I don't know what we would call ourselves, the originals maybe, but I know we're not, because there's been a group that, there's a group that came before us that's at MPE of these guys that have been here.
Yep.
Well,
the modern originals.
Yeah, the modern originals, but I know that there's guys that message me every other day. I get a message, people that say, I'm miserable. I want to figure out how to do this and create more for my family.
Yeah.
There was a moment where I probably could have stopped doing this kind of stuff. But once those messages started coming in, and they keep coming in, and even when I stop for months, there'll be a pile of messages where people say, oh, I came across your YouTube page. How would I do this? How do I do that? And, stuff like this, filling content, creates an opportunity for some of those questions to get answered ahead of time, and maybe help people out doing this.
Absolutely, man.
Business. And I think some of the manufacturers, distributors, companies, they should see stuff like this as a great thing for our industry, because they're going to sell more products and material or whatever it is. But at the same time, it's allowing us to create a community that's going to live on and live on and live on, I hope. So now this is going to be on the internet forever. So your little ones, they'll see it. My little ones will see it. And hopefully it helps some people out down the line. So thank you very much, Ryan.
Thank you, Marvin. I really appreciate it.
Ninja Cat Seal Coating, and maybe soon to be on a stage near you. You never know. millions
Someday.
or hundreds maybe. But
Yeah,
I get out that way, I'm definitely going to come see you. There's some people in New England that have been asking me to come make a round. So
absolutely,
I'll
man.
do that, and hopefully
And
they'll.
I'm really hoping to get to NPE at some point. It won't be this year, but that is absolutely a goal of mine for the
You
next
let me
couple
know.
years. So
You let me know, and whenever you get there, we'll make the best of it. So a
cool.
lot of people come there, just because they've heard me talk about it, and they have no clue what to do. And by the time we leave, we had a fantastic time. So put it that way. No matter where it's been, even in Cleveland, we had a fantastic time. Ryan, thanks very much. Have a good night. Tell us the fam I said thank you, and obviously most blessings coming up this next year, man. I'm excited to see what you do, and it's gonna make me do my thing a little bit more too. So with that,
Cool.
we want you to pave it, seal it, stripe it, and kill it. Peace.